Hey gorgeous, my name is Betha and welcome to Caplio, where I do readings for strangers on the internet. Today we are going to be doing a dream interpretation spread. So if you've been having a reoccurring dream or your dreams have just been very vivid and you're trying to make sense of what they're trying to tell you, this might just be the video for you. I have 3 options in front of you today to choose from. This is a collective message, so take what resonates and leave the rest. It's going to be as personalized as we can make it for the collective. But like I said, I have these 3 cards in front of you today, and I just need you to choose whichever one feels like it's calling to you, whichever one feels like your gut is pushing you towards, or whichever one just kind of catches your eye. We have the travel or transport card here, the murder card, or the school card. And like I said, whichever one catches your eye is going to be the pile for you. If none of them catch your eye, no harm, no foul. This video might not be for you or for you at this time. I do have other videos in my arsenal if you'd like to go check out the catalog on my channel. But if not, check out the description where I have the timestamps for each of these piles below. And let's get into your dream interpretation. Hi, pile 1. If you chose the transportation card, then this message might just be for you. To go through, first off, this is from my Dream Decoder deck. This is not an oracle deck by any means. I will show you the description on the back, but it simply just shows you basic symbolism in dreams and a brief breakdown of what it could possibly mean. But I will say, breaking down the card as it is, I can't help but notice that most of these transportation vehicles are moving backwards. We have the one bullet train in the corner here that seems to be possibly moving forward. I just get this sense that it feels like moving backwards to some degree. And I did get a couple of buzzwords as I was exploring that a little deeper. I'm getting this sense of like hometown for some of you guys, or going backwards might be the way to move forward. I also get the sense that for some of you guys it might not be specifically your hometown, but someone's hometown. And even deeper, this idea of like running away from something or trying to move, just this sense of running kind of pushing you backwards to a degree, which doesn't always mean a bad thing because sometimes moving backwards is the only way to move forward. But these are kind of some of the things I've been getting. Also, if the transportation part of your dream doesn't seem to line up, I also get the sense that for some of you guys it could be just the idea of running within dreams. But we're going to read the description briefly. I'm only going to read the highlighted points, so this would be the time, if you are interested, to pause the video or take a screenshot if you'd like to read the rest of the card. But it says, transport. Any mode of travel is likely to convey a message about the way that you are progressing in your life. With that in mind, let's get into the tarot cards. Best believe I was pissed when I figured out just today that I could be using the 0.5 lens to give tarot readings the whole time. Anyway, let's get deeper into this dream interpretation. Ooh. We're not going to take these, but we are going to take this one. So we have the 9 of Cups here. Queen of Wands that feels like it wants to be in reverse. Okay. Bottom of the deck energy, we have the 4 of Swords. We have Strength in the reverse, the Lovers, 3 of Cups, and the 4 of Pentacles. Let's clean this up a little bit and get her looking all pretty. Ignore the background noise. I do live in a house full of people. So I kind of set this spread up in a way to reflect our dream life versus reality and kind of how they are working together. So kind of like our subconscious is trying to tell us versus how we're reflecting it in our reality, or a nudge to how to reflect it in our reality. So the dream truth here comes through with this 4 of Swords. And I do think for a lot of you guys, this does point towards more of a romantic aspect, some sort of partnership of some sort, or the desire for a partnership or a deepening of a partnership. But for some of you guys, or the majority, I get this sense of like, I'm hearing coming home, and I think it's this feeling of belonging, or this feeling of something that you've desired kind of just clicking into place. The dream truth that's coming through here, the overall message, is this idea to kind of just let yourself relax a little bit more. This idea of giving up control and just letting things kind of unfold naturally here. Because I do sense this bit of anxiousness that I was kind of getting with this transportation energy. This not knowing how things are going to turn out or when they're going to happen. And this might have manifested in some freaky nightmares that kind of leave you a little panicked when you wake up, or these scenarios within your dreams where it feels like you are running from something or someone, or trying to run towards something or someone before it's too late. Or this idea of like malfunctioning in transportation is kind of a vibe I'm also getting, where it's like, I'm gonna be late, I'm gonna be late. So we're going to start off with the bottom of the deck energy here is the Four of Swords, which is going to talk to us about our dream truth, the message behind the dream that we're having. And if you'll notice here, she's just resting. And I think that's kind of the message that's coming through it. The dreams are trying to tell you to just let go. Everything is going to unfold and be okay. This string kind of tells me about like these string of events that are kind of, if you'll notice, they're knotted by these little feathers or these little ornaments, and it ends over in this heart here. So I feel like this is about, I'm hearing coming home, but I think it's this sense of something that brings you some sort of peace, familiarity. Like I said, home has been kind of like a heavy theme within this reading, whether that be like a hometown vibe or people from your hometown. It's just this sense of comfort and belonging that I feel like we're kind of searching for in our waking life. And your dreams are kind of pointing you to, it's okay to rest now. We are, these unseen forces are kind of taking care of things behind the scenes, and you kind of just have to keep going on the path and waiting for things to unfold when it comes to this department of your life. When we're looking at the feelings that we're kind of having, I have this kind of setup where it's the dream reality and then the reality that we live in. So if we're looking here at the feelings that are kind of stemming from it, it feels like I get this sense of like in your dream, maybe, like I said before, it could be this running towards or away from something, or maybe like transportation is kind of failing you within the dream. Like time's running out and you have to get somewhere kind of thing. And it's almost like this sense here that in the dream, you're kind of just letting things happen, letting things unfold. You're just noticing it. For some of you guys, I think within your dream, there's something that's happening with it where it feels like you've gotten something that you've desired. Like there's some sort of symbolism, or there's a person or something within your dream where it feels like, with all this gold here in the treasure box, it's something that you have treasured or you do treasure, and it's something that you very much desire within your life. And it feels like you're okay to keep floating with it. Like if you think that time is running out within your dream and you're not going to make it to your destination in time, I don't feel like the panic is coming from that dream realm. I think it kind of stems when you wake up. There's a sense that like in your dream, things are going fine and you're letting things unfold as they're supposed to, but in your waking life, there's something that you're not taking a chance on here. Something that you fear is kind of, or maybe it's a lack of self-worth or confidence that feels like it's holding you back from taking a chance on something. And there's this upsetness within you of, if not now, then when? Or like, why should I take a chance on this? Within the dream, the action that's kind of coming through here is something is not going to plan, or something is not unfolding correctly. It feels almost like a hope and a smooth sailing up until this final bit. And I think these final parts usually happen right before you're about to wake up, which kind of goes back to this anxiety that kind of gets stemmed through here, because all of a sudden things are going great, things are going fine, and then something leads the plan to shit. Like I said, like maybe you're running out of time to get to a specific destination, or your car breaks down somewhere, or you're running, but it's that dream running where all of a sudden you go from real running to like it's super slow-mo and you're not going to make it in time. And this feeling is kind of leading you to letting go. And the letting go is this here with the Lovers. For some of you guys, this could be a specific partnership within your life that for a while you've kind of had this nudge to let go of. I think for a lot of you guys, this just delves into a specific choice that you have been gunning for, you have wanted for a long time. This is something that has truly touched your heart. And you're being asked to let go of this thing to prove whether or not it's meant for you, if that makes sense. It's this idea where maybe I'm hearing not time yet, and if not time yet doesn't resonate, then maybe not in this form. But there's something here that you have desired very deeply that it feels like you keep getting called back to. And this thing feels like it's either right in front of you or right there, like about to be in your way. But it's not for you to take action on, if that makes sense. You're being guided to kind of, whether it's a let go of control with this thing or let go of this thing completely, there is a letting go that needs to be released of whatever choice, option, thing, person this is. In your dream, there's this sense of union with something or someone here. This could go back to like that hometown vibe where it's like maybe a union with your family or some old friends or something, but there is this union with something that you've loved or someone that you've loved before. This could be like a specific passion or an action that you've been doing, but I do get the vibe for a lot of you guys that this is people or a person that you're kind of seeing union within your dream. And with the way that this card kind of is, with the stars and all of the purple here, I get this sense that this is like souls connected. I'm hearing intertwined. So this could be somebody that you've seen, like, in regards with this person, there's like this quote unquote cosmic aspect to the connection where like symbols and synchronicities follow you, or these unexplained little things that happen in life that just kind of seem to connect with this person. And it's like, well, this feels more than just 3D. In reality, this union is almost supposed to guide you in a way to continue to let go of this control of this deeper. What I'm kind of seeing as a theme for the overall spread is this letting go of control in this specific situation so you can guide your attention to something else that needs you to take a chance on it, if that makes sense. I'm hearing, of course, let things unfold naturally. I get the feeling that whatever dreams you're kind of asking about have some sort of repetitive nature to them, whether it be with repetitive symbols or situations that you're put in, or a repetitive person or people. And like I said, I do think that there is this aspect where it's kind of just overall telling you that, yes, this thing is important, but it's not the only important thing in your reality. I think these dreams were kind of like a window to show you something that's going on behind the scenes, if that makes sense. Something that you might not be privy to in your waking reality, but not in a way to get you to obsess about this specific thing or person, but in a way to kind of help you release this need to know what's actually happening, or how things are going to go down, or how things are going to unfold, or how this person or thing, this person perceives you, or how this thing kind of interweaves into your life. Going back to that bottom of the deck energy, I do think the overall message is to just let this be as it is and present itself as it is, and then you react accordingly for what feels right to you and feels just to the situation as it arises. I'm going to get a couple of chakra oracle cards here to kind of finish off the message today. We have Facade with the solar plexus, and we have Renewal with the root chakra, and Perception with the heart chakra. Starting off with the Facade card here, there is something within your subconscious that's kind of screaming that this is not the person that I am anymore. You might have been seeing some repeating patterns kind of stem up within your life, with maybe in tandem with a specific person that we've been having dreams with, or a specific theme that's been going on within your dreams. Maybe it's a repeating action that you're seeing within your dreams that kind of reflects something that you do within your waking life. And An example that comes to mind is if you've been having dreams with drowning, that can kind of be akin to maybe falling into these rumination patterns in real life, where you find yourself falling down these rabbit holes of wondering what if, or trying to explore a specific situation, but it just leaves you more confused than you had been before. Something here within your subconscious is telling you that there's something about the way that you're moving in your conscious life that no longer aligns with who you are. And by letting go of this thing that we're trying so desperately to claw onto, we move into the sense of renewal, where we are taking the lessons that we have learned, the wisdom that we've accumulated, and rebuilding our sense of self from that. Not so much of like a revitalization, the phoenix is rising from the ashes, as much as it is like taking these different lessons that we've learned and integrating them into ourselves, so that when we see these past patterns kind of tempting us, we have that knowledge of how to manage ourselves in that moment, so we make the smarter choices or the healthier choices for us. I'm hearing night and day. So within recognizing these patterns, it might feel like a night and day switch, where maybe yesterday you were ready to say yes to this thing or this person that might not have aligned with who you are, but now today you are more, what's the word? You're more discerning with what you are allowing into your sphere, into your energy. There's this peace aspect to it where you are truly seeing the growth that's happened between, it kind of looks like between winter and spring. You are starting to see the growth from the lessons that you have learned here. You're not just saying yes to things because they're going to feel good now. You are truly discerning and deciphering what is going to bring me more peace, what is going to bring me more gratitude, what's going to bring me more joy, more abundance. There's this idea here with the perception card, where if you'll see, she kind of looks back with this worried face. If not worried, a little bit like shocked, like, this is not how I expected this to turn out. That's not how I expected this to look. Maybe that's not what I wanted. And you'll notice here that she's around all of these butterflies and these birds and this beautiful garden that she's created for herself. And I get this sense that she's taking a look at this thing she thought she wanted, and she's realizing that now that her perspective has flipped, maybe that's not exactly what she was looking for in the first place. Therefore, she decides that she's going to use this wooden door behind her and go travel to see if she can find what she wants somewhere new. For some of you guys, medieval Renaissance vibes could be big for you. She's kind of dressed like a princess to me, so maybe you guys are looking for this kind of quote-unquote like princess treatment kind of vibe, if this is connected to relationships for some of you. It's this idea of, I'm hearing breaking illusions. And I think from that, you have become this version of yourself that is ready for the thing that you desire. But it's about resting and letting things show up as they are, so you can just accept the thing that is for you. I saw this video recently that I want to bring up, of this concept of how the universe gives us the things that we desire. And it's this woman who sits down to order dinner, and she notices on the menu that all there is fries. And the server goes, yeah, we sell fries here. And she goes, okay, well, I guess I want the fries. But she notices somebody else eating pizza and somebody else eating pasta. She turns to the person eating pasta and she says, hey, so how did you get pasta? It's not on the menu. And she says, well, I asked for it. And she goes, oh, so I can do that too. So the woman who ordered fries, the waiter comes back and she says, actually, I don't want the fries. I would like the pasta. And so the waiter says, all right, one pasta coming up. He comes back again with fries. And the person turns to the person eating pasta and she says, well, my pasta is still fries. She goes, well, you need to send it back then. That's not what you ordered. So the woman sends the fries back. And she's waiting for her new order of pasta. She asks the woman eating pasta, how long is this going to take? I'm so hungry. I don't know if I can wait any longer. Maybe I should have just eaten the fries. And the woman eating pasta says, they will not recognize what you want unless you only accept what you want. If the server is bringing you fries and you ordered pasta, you wait for that pasta. And if you sit there and you focus on the waiting, it's going to take so much longer than if you would just do other things, focusing on other venues. And eventually, the server did bring her pasta. And because she was focused on other things and not focused on how hungry she could accept the pasta graciously, and the pasta was there in front of her. I'm hoping that paraphrasing made sense. I'm going to see if I can find that video and maybe link it below. It's a little TikTok moment. But I do think that it kind of easily explains a lot of like the law of attraction and discernment when it comes to the universe and how it gifts us. And I think that that's part of what we're looking at here is maybe in the past we have been so fixated on this thing that we have wanted that every time it would come back, we would try to accept it as it is. But now we are breaking out of that pattern with the things that with the knowledge and wisdom that we've acquired. We know how to move forward to get the things that we want. And like I said, if we're looking at this in terms of a timeline for your growth, we've gone from the clouds to me can also look like snow here and these dead trees. And it was hard to travel through to the point where you see this change like night and day from winter to spring. And now there's this beautiful garden surrounding you. I do think that there's already so much growth within you. And it's just about making the choices that reflect how you want your reality to look. And I really hope that a delving into some of your subconscious and what your dreams have been trying to tell you has been helpful for that. But if nothing else, I think that that's the spread kind of finished up here. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for staying. If you are interested in booking a personal reading with me, please check out the link in the description below. Check out my website. I would love to work with you. But if nothing else, have a great rest of your day. I hope this helped. Love and light. Hello, Pile 2. If you chose the dun 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 murder card, then this one's going to be for you. So I do have a little disclaimer when we're getting into the dream interpretations. This is from my dream decoder deck. This is not an oracle deck by any means. But I do think that it's helpful when it comes to symbolism and little like synchronicities we can find within our dream lives and things of meaning. So I will be reading the little highlighted portion here, the little bolded portion, but this would be the time if you are interested in reading the full card to screenshot, pause and read all at your own will, but otherwise getting into it. Murder! If you dream of a murder, violent death or attack, perhaps a shooting, knifing, execution, or mugging, this may symbolize an aspect of yourself that isn't being expressed. Interesting. So I do get the sense that for some of you guys, maybe this is the kind of like you are dying in a dream, some sort of death of sorts. For some of you guys, otherwise, this is somebody else's dying and you are watching it unfold, but it does feel like you are watching the active death, for lack of a better term. But let's get a little deeper with some tarot cards first, and then I'll have some oracle cards to kind of fill out the rest of the spread. So let's see what comes through here today. So if you've been having dreams with murder, then this one might just be for you. And if you haven't, there might be some other signs or symbols that we can pick up within the spread as well. Like I said, this is a collective message, so please do take what resonates and leave the rest. I feel like this one wanted to pop out, so we're going to take out the Two of Wands here. And the Page of Swords. Ooh. Knight of Wands. Hermit. The Eight of Pentacles. Don't worry, we will clean this up, and I forgot to put it in 0.5 lens, so we'll be doing that in a second too. The Devil. And the Seven of Wands. Let me clean this up and put y'all in a 0.5 lens, and we're going to get into this reading. Don't mind the little shit you might see on my desk on the side. Your bitch loves organized chaos. So to start off here, I did want to explain that this is kind of broken up to me between dream life and waking life in kind of how I've set this up here. So kind of like what your subconscious is trying to guide you to versus your reality. And at the bottom of the deck energy, we have a Seven of Wands here. So the bottom of the deck energy for me is the truth that your dream is trying to express you to to express to you. My goodness, can we speak? I do think that there's this disconnect within expression, actually, within this group. I'm getting, like, some throat chakra restrictions of sort. And part of that from reconvening with my little Lightseer tarot book, because yes, even tarot readers need to consult their guides sometimes. I'm getting this sense of, like, holding yourself back from expression to some degree. And it's a certain hesitancy of something I feel like you're aware of, because if you'll notice, I don't know how well you can see within this card. Sorry for the blurry, to get everything on here, I had to do 0.5. But if you'll kind of notice, if you can tell, she's kind of looking away from this wand coming at her. And there's this idea of a certain way that you've needed to express yourself. For some of you guys, I am hearing just boundaries. There's this idea of, you know what this is, but there's some sort of hesitancy or desire not to. For the feelings that I'm seeing between your dreams and your waking life, I feel in your dreams there is this sense of longing, and I'm also getting this desire for escape. So for some of you guys, this could be in some sort of scenario where somebody has you trapped and you feel like you are threatened or in danger here. And there's this idea of trying to get out from whatever situation you are in within your dream. This, like I said, escape. And in your waking life, this is a reflection of this Page of Swords in reverse energy, which kind of talks about gossip or dishonesty, but I think it's more of this, like, all talk energy aspect too. This sense of, like, saying one thing and not being able to follow through almost. Like I said, also this, like, dishonesty of sorts here. And I think the dishonesty comes through some sort of expression within your life or some way to portray yourself that feels more true to you. For some of you guys, I am getting little 18 plus moment here, some sex dream vibes, because I feel like the action within the dream is some sort of something that sparks up adrenaline. And for a lot of you guys, this could be just this running away from something, this escaping a scenario. But for others of you guys, I feel like this has kind of been manifesting, like I said, through some sort of, like, sexual nature or some sort of, like, high energy, high adrenaline expression of movement. This could just be running for some of you guys, or I'm also kind of hearing flying to some degree. Just this very movement-oriented action going on. And like I said, for some of you guys, this is this running, escaping idea going on here. But the action within the dream kind of coincides with, in real life, this idea of needing to let go, and the hermit is what's showing up for what needs to be let go. Throat chakra really coming through here. Y'all, this expression thing, we gotta work with it. Blue crystals, singing, expressing how you're feeling. This is all gonna help you open your throat chakra here. We'll get to that in a minute. But there's this need to let go of this hermit, which feels like an avoidant coping mechanism of sorts, where it feels like when you guys feel like your emotions are running too high or shit's falling apart in your reality, your go-to notion is to hole up, hide away, and wait for that feeling to pass before you exit out of your cave or emerge from your hidey hole. There's this idea that you need to let people see you, rather than waiting until you're your best in order to reconvene with connections again. Another aspect of something happening in your dreams feels like this planning or this strategizing of sorts. For some of you guys, when we're talking more in terms of that sex dream vibe that I got, there's more of this, like, appreciation aspect, this, like, taking a slow moment to be sensual and appreciate whatever the sexual partner presented themselves as. And that being clarified by this bringing in of the devil energy is a little confusing. Give me a second here. I think this action in your dream is almost calling you in your waking life to be more acceptant of attachment and letting go of control in certain situations. Which, you know, in hindsight, this makes a lot of sense when paired with this hermit card here. Because if we're looking at it from when we usually see the devil, we talk about unhealthy attachments and obsessions, but I'm not thinking in this spread that it talks about to such a degree, to such an extreme. It kind of feels to me here like this letting go that we're kind of being called through our dream life, of letting go of just doing it all on your own. Not solitude, but isolation. Because obviously anything with its extreme can be unhealthy, for lack of a better term. So it feels like we're being called, instead of to keep falling into this coping mechanism of isolation, to maybe allowing ourselves to develop these attachments. If you'll notice here with this Eight of Pentacles, it's kind of this sense within your dream that maybe you're constantly looking over your shoulder. Like I said, there's a bit of strategizing that could be coming through here, connecting with maybe that escape kind of storyline we were going through. But there's also this sense of fear in looking over your shoulder, of waiting for somebody to strike. And I think that that's a call within your waking life to kind of release this fear with attachment that we're looking at here. Because not all attachment is unhealthy. If we weren't attached to anything, it's kind of like that sense of what is there to live for? If we don't have these connections we can depend on, these people that we can laugh with, these pets that we can take with us and show the world to, what else is there? And yes, there is still us, and there is such a degree where we do need to find solitude at times to be alone with ourselves and enjoy our own company. But there's also this call here that it's okay to let people see you as you. Even if it does spark some sort of confrontation, even if it does spark some sort of argument or some crazy chaotic mess, you don't need to hide and be alone every time you don't feel like you're your best. Because that's how we create these long-lasting and emotionally fulfilling connections, is by allowing people to see the darker parts of ourselves, allowing ourselves to be expressed when we're tired or cranky or sick, depending on others when we need help. And sometimes people aren't going to be able to fully meet us where we think that they should be able to help us feel better. But sometimes if somebody can't find a solution for your problems, it's a little easier if you just talk it out. Sometimes we find our own solutions when we're talking out our problems. Or sometimes it just helps to hang out with somebody for a while to take us away from the struggles of our everyday life, just as a little bit of escape. Yes, escapism at its extreme can be extremely unhealthy, but everything in moderation can have a healthy aspect to it. And I do think that this is kind of overall this concept of, like I said, there was this little bit of gossip aspect here that and maybe it feels like you have been the talk of a town to some degree, where it feels like your friends are kind of like corroborating and talking about, well, this person's been in a weird headspace, we don't know how to deal with it. Try to think of the tone that people use if gossip like that comes back to you. This idea that no friend should gossip about us is kind of weird. You know what I mean? Because when we're trying to understand somebody, or we're trying to figure out how to communicate with somebody to the best way possible, sometimes it's easier if we go through other people that also have the same love that we have for this person, in order to understand and corroborate together how we can help this person, if that's making sense. Something that a celebrity, Caleb Heron, who I very much enjoy, posted once that kind of stuck with me is, if your friend is talking about you behind your back and it's to somebody else that also loves you just as deeply, then leave it. Sometimes people need to get things off their chest. Sometimes people need to understand before they can communicate, you know what I mean? But if they are talking to somebody who does not have that same love for you, well, then go shoot them with a gun or something like that. Like, obviously don't actually kill them, whatever. Just kind of that idea of like, not all talking about somebody is negative gossip. And I do think that maybe for some of you guys, maybe you have been the ones kind of talking shit about people, kind of putting yourselves on this pedestal of like, well, I don't need anybody, or how could they react like that in public? I would never show myself to react like that in public. And yes, there is a degree of like, what are you willing to accept and what are you not willing to accept when it comes to other people's behaviors and accepting them within your life. But if this is somebody within your life, then maybe looking at it from the lens of love rather than judgment. You know, was this person just having a really hard day and they just couldn't contain it anymore? We all have times where the pressure gets to be too big and our lids pop. You know what I mean? We're not always going to be these perfect little robots that are at a pleasant emotion to express to everybody. And I think part of what your dreams are trying to get you more comfortable with is this concept of letting yourself express more parts of you than just this stable presentation that you might have been forcing, if that makes sense. This ability to show the people that you love all of these different sides of you. Which I know can be very scary to express yourself because that leads you open to judgment. It leads you open to criticism, to backtalk, to being wrong or being in the wrong. But being in the wrong does not make you a bad person, nor does it make you wrong. As long as you are willing to sit with that discomfort, accept the situation as it is, see things from a new perspective, and learn from it. And I feel like this is something that you're very good at doing on your own, but it's when we're inviting other people and exploring communication and relationships that it becomes a difficult feat. And I think that's where you're being asked to go at it imperfect, make mistakes, and grow like that. Because there is a certain degree, and I've learned this personally as well, where we stop growing when we're only on our own. We need other connections in our life to help us to grow further in different avenues. And I'm not just talking about in work, career, projects, in ourselves and in our understanding of ourselves. There's a certain point where we will stop growing if we don't introduce these meaningful connections or connections in general within our life. So I'm going to grab a couple of chakra oracle cards here to kind of finish up the reading. I only did 2. I usually do 3 knocks. I only did 2 today. I feel like repeating 2s could be a big thing for this group, or maybe there's a specific partnership that this kind of coincides with. I'm hesitant to say this, but I am hearing twin for some of you guys. I do think it could be a biological twin, possibly, to talk with about these kind of things, or a mirroring soul of sorts. Twin just feels like it's big here. Bittersweet with the throat chakra. Insecurity with the root chakra. And at the bottom of the deck energy, we have impasse. So starting with bittersweet and impasse together here, I do see some sort of childhood wound that is stemming up within this group. And I do think that's part of what your subconscious is having you live through within your dreams. There is something that I've kind of been like, we'll call it a theory, where sometimes we are put in, and I don't know if, like, I haven't done too much dream research, so maybe this has been proven or disproven, but forgive me, I am going to share this. This idea that we are put in through these scenarios within our dreams sometimes, and within specific dreams, the scenarios that pop up are merely there to help us process these repressed emotions that we didn't get to process at the time. So it's not so much always the scenario that you are put in, but what you are feeling. And I think within this situation, like these dream situations that you are being put in, this is to help connect these feelings that you had felt within specific scenarios of your childhood between your caregivers and things that you had went through, different traumas or events. And those are the feelings that are coming through within your subconscious, within your dream. Like I said, I think there's a symbolic representation within the storyline of your dream, but I think the focus is it's supposed to help upheave and help you process these repressed emotions. Starting off with bittersweet with the throat chakra card here, there is some sort of ending that has happened that feels like it needs your attention right now. I'm seeing quite a bit of symbolism of like air or waves within this. So I think there's been a lot of like thinking around this energy, a lot of rumination. This ending is something specific that you've kind of been, like I said, thinking on, considering. It's something that you've really been fixated with. And I think that you've been trying to almost make sense of it as a way so you don't have to feel these waves of emotion that are coming through, but you are being called to express your grief about this ending, to share with somebody or some people how much it's hurt you that this door feels like it's been closed, to express your truth in this. And like I said, I think part of this is also to yourself. Maybe you haven't let yourself shed these tears of this loss or this ending. And I think that's the first step before expressing it to other people. But I do think that there's a need to tell somebody your truth here. With insecurity, with the root chakra, we are talking about some sort of part of yourself, some aspect of yourself that feels like it needs to be faced here. And I don't think that that scares you guys so much when it comes to seeing the darker parts of yourself. But for some reason in this situation, it's hard for you to, if you'll see, his arms are kind of crossed. He's kind of getting defensive about it. Something about this specific situation, or maybe the person, if there is a person involved in this situation, has kind of made you hesitant to take ownership in what has happened to some degree. Because I do think, while I don't want to say that you are at fault, I do want to say that for a lot of you guys, this situation feels like it's some sort of two-way street where there's both like some hand in play here. Like I said, this could be for in any scenario or dealing with specific people, person. I do think that this is involving other people in this scenario. But I'm hearing let go of being right. There is a fear here that needs to be taken a look at and then expressed and shifted accordingly. And I think for some of you guys, for some of you guys, maybe you just haven't sat with it yet. For others of you guys, I think there's a stubbornness aspect to it where it's like, I could go living like this the rest of my life and I would be perfectly fine. Why should I have to, like, this has worked for me. And I am here to say that there's that little bit of like, it might hold you back. I mean, yes, you could go the rest of your life living this way, but something tells me that there is something inside of you that doesn't want to, that this is a response to a wound of sorts. If you'll see here, there's a lot of like needles kind of poking through his heart that he's being so defensive of. And it's almost like this little demon dude is like the one telling him that, yeah, you'll be fine if you stay like this the rest of your life. You don't need to open up to anybody. And if you can see, the more that he's kind of listening to it, it's almost like it's giving this demon dude some power and he's kind of like infiltrating this dude's heart space. But that's where the disconnect and like, because if you'll see here, I see this light as like a symbol from the divine, like this little sun here. The sun will come out tomorrow. This like idea that the divine is kind of still, I hate putting it as like the demons versus the divine. This idea that there are spirits or his higher self, his soul is expanding, wants more, notices that beyond this fear of not opening up and letting others in, there is positivity. Even if there's some stife and some trifes and some issues along the way, there is a brighter future in it. But he's kind of confused, kind of just looking ahead, disassociated. Maybe you guys have found yourself in a more disassociative energy recently, and this is another call to find yourself in the present, to feel through your body, to feel through your feelings. It's your choice, truly, is where I'm going to put it at for that. Because you could continue to go the rest of your life living with this defensive state and doing things just as you have been. I hate to call it out like that. I'm sorry if it feels like a call out. But I have this sense that you do want more. You want deeper. You want to try this new thing, even though new things are scary. And that leads us to our last card, Impasse. Like I said, there is this message here of something ending. But I don't know if this is not me trying to give you false hope. This could be a completely different situation within your life, but it almost feels like there is a choice if you don't want something to end here. You are at an impasse, and I do think it truly is broken down to you either choose change and you open this new door, or you go back to the same patterns and you continue to live life in the cycle that you know and that is comfortable to you. I get this sense that this big giant person that's blocking your way is supposed to be a reflection of you to some degree. Now, not saying that you have to look like this person in this image at all, but I'm getting this sense of like, it's you blocking your path. And with the moon and the stars out, I do think that this is something that weighs on you more at night, or maybe at night you get that gun-ho energy of, I'm gonna make the change, and then you wake up. Or maybe, for some of you guys, this is a decision that hits you, or an epiphany that hits you at night. Maybe doing some night strolling in the woods. If you do choose to do that, I would urge just make sure that you are being safe and make sure that you are able to take care of yourself. I love a good midnight stroll as well. I always have my little self-defense weapons on me if I so need. But maybe this could be a call for some of you guys to have a midnight stroll and think about this. But I do think that the answers are in front of you, and it's just whether or not you want to progress forward or continue in the cycles that you know. Which, by the way, there's no right or wrong way to live, or no right or wrong way to do anything here. And I'm not telling you that you have to make this change like it's night and day. But what I am saying, if this is something that interests you and you do want to try to instill this change, think of the baby steps that it would take to try to get there. You know, if you're so used to handling things on your own, maybe trying at one point when you're not feeling so great to disclose that to a friend and see what they have to offer. Or maybe just asking somebody to hang out and sit down and listen to you rant about whatever it is that you're going through. I'm also hearing that, like, it takes trees years to grow. So if you think about it in that aspect, nobody is asking you to become a full oak tree by tomorrow. It starts by planting a seed. It starts by watering that seed and nurturing that seed. It becomes a sapling. It becomes a small tree before it can become such a huge part of the forest, you know? Trees aren't going to be able to block you from shade in 3 days. So understand that me telling you that this is something that maybe you want to look at for a change does not mean you have to change yourself entirely, and it does not mean that you are not worthy now. What makes you worthy is, first off, simply by being. But what makes the change and what makes it that you are creating that change is the fact that you are trying. It doesn't mean that you have to jump in full force, go to therapy now, figure out all of your issues. But, you know, for example, if therapy is something that you want to try, it's a baby step to go into one session. It takes you a while to find a therapist that fits with you usually anyway. You know what I mean? But, like, nobody is asking you to change like it's night and day. But if this is a change that you want to make within your life, if you want to open this new door, figuring out the baby steps it's going to take to get there. You are perfectly worthy as you are now, and you shouldn't feel like you have to hold yourself back and hide yourself away from people until you are at your best. Because you're always at your best. Whether it's you're depressed or you're in a beautiful, blissful joy, you are still you and you are still trying. And that's what makes you your best, you know? I also hate the idea of, like, being your best, right? That leaves no margin of error. It gives us perfectionist mindset. I think it's better to look at it as, what is your favorite self? Because I used to think that my best self was, she turns the other cheek, she chooses the high road. But my favorite self is not afraid to knock a bitch down if she's trying to come at me. You know what I mean? Our favorite characters are usually these anti-heroes that, you know, have done some wrong to figure out what feels right to them. So instead of looking at it as, I want to become my best self, try being your favorite self today. But anyway, I do hope this message helped and resonated. If you're interested in booking a personal reading with me, please check out the link in the description below. Check out my website. I would love to work with you. But if nothing else, have a great day, love. Thank you for staying. Hello, gorgeous. Pile 3, I guess school's in session. Okay, today we are doing a dream interpretation spread, and I have a little secret. This is from my dream decoder deck, and no, it is not an oracle card, but we are kind of treating it as such in a little bit of ways. Today we're just trying to get an idea of what your dream life could be trying to tell you about your current reality. And within these cards, they have a little description on the back for common symbolism that we find within dreams, and I'll be showing you that in a second, but I'll only be reading the bolded print, so if you would like to pause to read it further or to screenshot for later, this would be the time to do so. But y'all chose school, and dreams of being a pupil at school or some other place of learning usually relate to lessons you need to learn in your waking life, perhaps a basic principle or skill you've forgotten. Interessant. I'm also getting that idea of maybe some of y'all have been showing up to school in your underwear in dreams, or maybe there's a problem that you just haven't been able to solve when it comes to going to school, or that freaking out, you're late for something, or the test that you didn't study for, all those kind of vibes. But we're going to get into some tarot cards. Hold up, before I make this mistake again. I found out I could do 0.5 font in video, and it's taken me way too long as a tarot reader to discover this. So, ooh, and it's kind of showing my organized chaos we've got here. Oopsies. Anyway, so I've got a couple of tarot cards we're going to get deeper into this spread, and then I've got some oracle cards on the side that you saw there that we're going to get into to kind of close up the message. So let's see what else we can kind of get. I'm also hearing that the people, if you're dreaming of school life, might be important to this situation. Maybe there's a specific person or specific people, or maybe you don't really recognize the faces of some people that are there. I'm getting for some of you guys that if you don't recognize all the faces but they feel familiar, maybe that some of those are spirit guides or energies that are kind of attached to you right now, that are trying to get a hold of you within your subconscious, or at least let themselves be known in your waking life. So we have the Lovers in reverse, clarified by the Chariot. I'm going to clean this up as we're going, actually. We have so much more space to show our spread. Ooh. And now I'm hearing spread it open and flick the bean. I'm joy and proud of the pussy queen. Sorry, I am sort of an 18 plus reader, so take that as you will. Let's see. What else is coming through here? I'm hearing indecision, which kind of pairs well with this Lover's card up here. Go for it! Oh god, this group is my echolalia group. That's what I'm thinking right now. Two of Swords, clarified by the Six of Pentacles, because I'm getting a bunch of just like urges to scream random vocal phrases. Five of Swords in reverse. One more, please. One day more. I don't know if y'all are into Les Mis. I've been thinking about rewatching it. I like that movie. Seven of Swords in reverse. And the bottom of the deck energy, we have the Empress. Ooh. Also getting clowns. Y'all might be class clowns. Y'all might be the jokers of the groups that you're in. I'm getting a fun energy with y'all. A very, like, no bullshit, but also, like, all the bullshit. Because, fuck, life's too short to take it so seriously, right? I'm also getting public buildings for this group. And I do have a specific friend that if you are watching this right now, yes, shopping malls came to mind, my dude. But also like churches, just like public settings, not just schools, are maybe an environment that you could find yourself in within your dream life. For some of y'all, I'm hearing AutoZone, because I heard the get in the zone, AutoZone. But anyway, let's get right into it here. So I have it set up where this is what we're getting from your dream life. This is what we are being asked, or what it's reflecting in reality. And we are starting off with the feelings here. The Lovers in reverse is talking to me about indecision, some sort of disharmony, some sort of loss of power, maybe loss of direction here, maybe feeling like you're lost or confused. And this is kind of reflecting in a call in your waking life to make a move. make a decision, just take a step forward. It feels like in your dream, there is this confusion of which direction to go. Like, I get this image of like somebody trying to figure out which hallway out of like a sea of hallways to choose to go down. And it feels like just this endless trying to find the right direction to escape. And it's being reflected as a call in your reality to just make a decision and go for it. And not like this impulsive, although sometimes it might be this impulsive, like, just take a step forward and see what happens. But I feel like you're being asked to etch a path here, etch a path forward. Like, what do you want next? What direction should you be taking according to you, if that makes sense? Like, I'm seeing it as, maybe you're seeing it as, I don't know where to go from here, but we're being asked to look at it from the perspective of, I could go anywhere from here. It's like this idea of you're waiting for a path to form in front of you, but you're in an open field, and the direction is totally up to you to take. Within the dream, there is this, once again, reflection of not knowing which path to take. Maybe in the dream you have a couple of people trying to tell you to go this way, or there are a bunch of different actions going on where it's kind of leaving you, do I go to this group of things that's happening or this group of things that's happening? And there's a lot of things to sway your opinion on whatever decision or whatever choice option you make here. And in your waking life, that is a call to let go of this constant giving and receiving cycle that it seems like you're in. It feels like you're in some sort of scenario where you continue to give to these same connections in this, because it's in this way of like giving and receiving from the same connections over and over again. But it feels like the constant balance has been reached, if that makes sense. It feels like, almost like there's a threshold of giving with each connection. And with each, like, there's no more progression in the giving and receiving here. Which doesn't mean to, like, cut off whatever scenario you're in, right? But it feels like you've gotten what you are going to get from these things that you are giving here, from this energy that you are giving into each place. Not to say that there won't be progression in the future, but almost like in this idea of opening another path if you want to see more progression and results in a certain area of your life. Like, kind of letting things continue to happen in the places that you are currently giving and receiving from, but also opening a new venue. Taking the focus solely off of this one place, thing, person, and kind of opening the road to new ventures. Almost like the idea of you have one really good friend in your life and you're constantly giving and receiving from them. But if you know this person so well, and this connection is going so well, then there's still open ability to branch out to other connections here. You know, like if this connection is so solid, so good, so welcoming, feels like home, so great, that doesn't mean that you can't find another connection that gives and receives that same way. You know what I mean? There is this need to kind of branch out and open up. It's almost like it's time to leave the building, if that makes sense. In your dream, there could be some sort of public humiliation comes to mind, or loss, or some sort of, it just feels like in this scenario you lose somehow. Maybe in the fact that you don't find your escape if you're looking for a way out of the building, or like I said, some sort of public humiliation when you show up to class. Maybe you fail the test, something with that degree where it feels like some sort of failure here, even though you tried. Like, you tried going down that hallway and you still couldn't find your way out. You tried on that test and you still found a way to fail. You tried to show up to class on time and you still didn't make it. And I think that's being reflected in this imposter syndrome that we're seeing here through the Seven of Swords card. And with this being the bringing in energy, I think this is a call to face what it is within you that makes you feel like you can't make it. Rather than looking at it from this lens of, why me? Why should I do this? I can't be, like, I'm not good enough. Then instead looking at it from, if not me, then who? And it's kind of bringing us into this, the dream truth the message of the dream, as it's kind of been put, is the bottom of the deck energy here with the Empress. The Empress being, in her own way, a master manifester because she creates the reality she desires. She flows with the energy that life gives her and uses that accordingly. This idea of following your intuition and these intuitive guides and nudges to push you forward to create the things that you want to see reflected within your reality. Which I know sounds like a bunch of mumbo jumbo, but when we break it down to it, it's simply this idea of, well, I want to be an author. I want to be published. I want to make money retiring off of the books that I write. To do that, you have to create a book, correct? And within that process, it takes time. It's the steps of writing down the story map, creating the story, taking more notes as you go. But even once you finish the story, you still have to go back and edit and revise and make things make sense. And you continue to do that as a process for a while up until you start looking for agents. And then you have to find the right agent. And then after finding the right agent. So within that time, it kind of becomes a co-creating with the universe kind of thing, which I know, another woo-woo buzzword, right? It's this idea that, like, as you're writing, maybe you hit a point where you have writer's block and you are called to go to this park and you start going for a walk on to this park because your intuition told you to go here for a walk. And all of a sudden you come into contact with this random stranger who tells you something about their life and you get inspired for more ideas for your story. So you continue to write. Or maybe you're looking for agents because you finished your story and you ask the universe, hey, give me this symbol if I found the right agent. And then suddenly you find this symbol on the agent's LinkedIn or something like that. There's this concept here of it's time to move forward. It's time to move on. It's time to create a new path. Now you are being asked to co-create that path with the universe. And it feels scary because we're working through that imposter syndrome and that what if kind of aspect. Like, well, what if I create this and it's not good enough? Well, first off, who's to decide what's good enough, right? Oh my God, I can't think of his name right now and it's really upsetting me. But there's a man out there that published Roaches in My Crib. And if you know what I'm talking about, then you know damn well that whatever you have to create has enough worth to go out there. It's just about taking the time and the energy to do it. There are so many things that have been created. And for you to have this don't take life too seriously, let's have fun, let's joke energy, and not be able to apply that to yourself and your goals moving forward, I think there's a perspective shift that needs to be had here. And maybe that's part of it, is this fun energy that you bring to the table, maybe putting that into your projects rather than taking it so seriously. Thinking that, hey, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But let me have fun doing it anyway. You know what I mean? Let's get a couple of oracle cards to kind of finish off the reading here. That one's darted on through. Insecurity. Oh, we do have quite a few reflecting cards from our other groups today. Oh, you guys might get one extra card than the other groups did too. So let's do insecurity, miracle, soulmate, and self-worth. And quite a bit of here is with the root chakra. They're all lower chakras here, if you'll notice. Solar, sacral, root. We have a lot more of root, so I do think a lot of what we're working through is this anxiety and this fear-based thinking, but also in connection with going back to our self-expression, who we truly are, and our worth. Starting with insecurity, it talks about facing our fears, facing our demons, and truly meeting them head on. Having a conversation with those parts of ourselves that are afraid and seeing what comes from it. This idea that you can continue living the way that you've been living for so long, but it feels like you want to break out of that mold. It feels like you want more in life. I feel like you've been giving and receiving in the same way over and over again, but now is time to start putting more energy to yourself and to your goals. Enough of these enough of only focusing on these connections and these people within your life, but starting to come back to you and creating more time for you. And like I said, particularly your goals and the things that you want to create within this life. With the miracle card here, there is this idea of you can't shut out pain without also shutting out pleasure. So it's kind of talking about this quote unquote ascension process, as the spiritual gurus call it, where every time we break out of a cycle and kind of expand our perspective and expand our way of living a little bit more, we move up to a quote unquote higher vibration, right? And there's this idea here of, I think maybe you operate under this mindset, which I do think to be true to a degree, where if you put good into the world or if you help other people with good, that good does come back to you. But there's also a call with that we can't pour out of an empty cup, but I think in this case it's more of like, if you pour from your half full cup, you're going to be depleted quicker, and you're not going to be able to experience what this full cup is for you. And I feel like this certain avenue of your life, this certain next step that needs to be taken, is finding out how to fill that cup completely. And I do think for some of you guys, this could be in terms of connections and putting yourself out there more, but I think for the lot of you, this is in terms of finding what purpose means to you. And purpose doesn't always mean career. Purpose is anything that gives you a reason to wake up in the morning. For some people, their purpose is their family, it's their friendships. For other people, it's travel and exploration and finding new reasons to be alive and finding new ways to look at things. There's something here about expanding your self-belief or your belief in yourself to find that reason to get you up every day. And this could be as simple as exploring new places that you haven't been to before, painting pictures just for the joy of painting, but there's something here to discover, and I think there's a fear that holds that back. What I mean by that is I feel like you already know what I'm talking about, and it's just about like integrating the baby steps forward. The soulmate card talks about some sort of authenticity when it comes to your emotions, seeing if you are living a lie to some degree. And I can't help but notice that the only eyes that we have are these third eyes here. And one of them being like a Hamza kind of deal, and the other one, I do think that whatever we're talking about is in connection with some people within your life, maybe some reflecting energies here. But there's this idea of facing your truth in something. And I do think it's this looking for a reason to keep going, for lack of a better term. And I can't help but notice that there is the third eye here where it feels like you've been having an intuitive nudge, whatever this thing is. And it has, because there's the other eye on the hand here, I feel like it has to do with some sort of creation. Whether that be, like I said before, with the writing example that I gave, or music, or art to some degree that you are creating. There's just something to do, or maybe it's just movement with your body, just something that you do physically, or something that you've been called to do physically. I don't know, maybe some of you guys have been called to take a self-defense class, or to put yourself out there in improv, or something to, there's something here that you already know is what I'm kind of getting the gauge for. And within these spirals, I want to say that this is something that you keep coming back to, some sort of energy in something that it kind of never really left your life. It's always kind of been lingering in the back of your mind, or that you keep circling back to. Finally, with the self-worth card, I think there's something that either I'm recording this within March as I'm like saying this, but when there was, depending on where you're at, if there was snow in the ground at the time, or for people that don't live in an area with snow, maybe it was winter time that this happened, but I think you've called some people or a person within your life that kind of sparked this idea of something that you want to move forward in, but there's this fear and imposter syndrome that kind of holds you back here. And that's truly what we're working with is trying to find that self-worth to be able to sit on the throne of the thing that we desire. I do think with the way that the imagery is in this card, it's almost like the divine gave you this throne that you recognize that you want to sit in, right? This thing that you recognize that you want to do and see progress in. But it's this concept of this only appears when you feel worthy of it. And that feeling worthy does not, and here's the thing about imposter syndrome is you can both be/feel worthy and still struggle with imposter syndrome. It's just about going ahead and doing it regardless of the fear that holds us back. It's this concept of, I might not feel ready, but I am ready. It's working, like I said before, it's like we're talking with this fear within us, this demon, this shadow side of ourselves. We can sit there and as we're doing the thing, as we're making the steps forward, coaxing this little shadow figure within us, this fear that holds us back, we're coaxing it off the ledge as we're actively doing it, if this is something that we want to see progress in. Does that make sense? This idea of like, you know, I can sit there all day and say, I am a shitty artist, I am the worst painter, I should never pick up a brush. But I can continue to have that inner monologue as I'm actively painting. I can also choose to shift that inner monologue as I'm painting and say, I'm doing this for fun. I'm painting because I want to see progress in my painting skills. I'm painting because it's something of relief and joy. And also remembering to switch the narrative if we feel like we're getting too serious about it or it's becoming something that's too scary. Because at the end of the day, a lot of the things that we want to do in life, we hold ourselves back because we don't think we're going to be good enough, or we don't think that, or we think we're going to make a fool out of ourselves if we even try to put ourselves out there or say any of it, or that it's not going to take off, so why bother trying? I say do it anyway. Why let fear run your life? This is your one life to live, and it's too short to sit there and not experience the things that you want to experience. And if the worst that happens is that you tried and you failed, at least you tried. That's more than most people can say, is it not? I think what's really going to help with this group is either having that conversation with yourself or sitting in some sort of meditation. Because with the story of this card, I want to kind of paraphrase it real quick. There's this throne that this little girl is told exists, but it only comes out if you close your eyes and let it. You can't find it by seeking it out, if that makes sense. So I think this kind of coincides with this concept of you can't seek out this purpose, right? We can't seek out our purpose in life. This isn't something that we ask ourselves and just find like that. It's something that we have to actively be willing to feel, if that makes sense. Because what happens in the story is she's told that you can't find it by looking for this chair. You have to wait for this chair to come to you. So she sits down and she makes some snow angels and she has fun doing whatever, and suddenly the chair appears to her. And there's this idea that if you are searching for something, you're not as likely to find it as if you just go ahead and do it anyway and wait for it to find you. So maybe for some of you guys it isn't as simple as there's this thing that's been coming around over and over again, or it doesn't feel as simple. Put your hand in a couple of things and try it. Because the other thing that I want to add here is you might find out that you have more than one purpose in life, or more than one purpose to get up every day. Maybe it just starts as, I get up every day because I have a job and I need money, or I have friends that I want to see and spend time with. But the more that we open that venue to more than one reason to live, for example, more than one reason, more than one purpose for life, the more fruitful and fulfilling life becomes. And I don't know where you're at in terms of a reason to wake up every day, but whether you have one or it's a struggle to find one right now, I think you're being called to find more than one reason and to kind of explore what that reason could be. And yes, you might fall a couple of times when you're first trying to ride a bike. You might scrape your knees. You might flip over the handlebars. Lord knows I did it with training wheels. But you will always be able to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and try it again. And eventually, the more that you try to ride that bike, the easier it becomes. And I think that's just kind of what you're being called to do right now, is to choose a path forward, take a first couple of steps. If it doesn't feel right, track back, try the new path. But I do think that by opening yourself to these new experiences, by going down these other venues for different projects, by meeting new people, you are going to find more fulfillment that you've kind of been looking for. Anyway, I think that's pretty much all I have for the message here today. I hope this helped. If you are interested in booking a personal reading with me, please check out the link in the description below. Check out my website. I would love to work with you. But if nothing else, love and light, my friend. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you for staying.